Hello everyone, welcome back to Cloud Institution. So the Cloud Institution is the best software training institutions. So today, as part of this Terraform series, we're going to see another very interesting video on Terraform, which is Terraform migrate state. So in this video, what are we going to see is that so what is Terraform migrate state and how this works? Okay, so now if you can see what is migrate state, Terraform migrate state. Okay, so Terraform init hyphen migrate state command can be used to migrate your state file safely from local to remote and remote to local or remote to remote. Okay, so we're going to see how this particular Terraform state file will work, from the remote to local and local to remote. Okay, so this is very very interesting and very very important interview question as part of as part of the interview point of view. And if you're preparing for the examinations or Terraform examinations, these kind of concepts will be highly recommend to be practiced. Okay, so now we're going to see, I'm going to my Visual Studio Code. As you can see here, so this is my code and I have some kind of resources has been configured. Okay, so now what are we mainly focusing on today is that we're going to make the Terraform instance will be created, and the backend was going to be S3 bucket. Okay, now when I'm going to do a Terraform init, okay, so now it's going to be using for the backend is equal to S3 bucket. Okay, so now it's been already been configured for the backend to S3 bucket. Okay, so now what happens is that so when I'm going to when I'm going to comment this option out. Okay, so because my what is backend, so my Terraform state file is being stored in the remote remote state file, remote backend. Okay, so for example, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to probably I'm going to do Terraform plan. Okay, so the Terraform plan, what's going to be happening is that it's going to create one instance. Okay, so it's going to be creating one instance. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be creating, I'm going to be applying, okay, hyphen auto approve. Okay, so Terraform apply auto approve is the command which I'm going to give. Okay, so meanwhile I'm going to see in the console. Okay, so that console. Okay, so I'm going to S3 bucket. Okay, general purpose buckets, and as you can see here, what's the bucket name? Terraform, okay, cloud institution Terraform state. Okay, is what the bucket which has been created. Okay, so let's go back and see here which is the bucket. This is the bucket name. All right, this is state file. Okay, so this is the state file which I go and download it. Okay, so if you can open this one, you can see, so this is what the one resource. Okay, so resource will be created over here. Okay, so this is what the resources has been created. All right. Okay, now what are we going to do is that I'm going to be, okay, so now I'm going to be um, commenting this option out. Okay, so I'm going to be commenting this option out that I don't want this backend to be available in the S3 bucket. Okay, so if you commented this out, so what happens is that the bucket, the state file will be migrated to the considered to be a local state file. Okay, so if you don't know about what is local state file, so please go and refer our previous videos. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do Terraform. Okay, Terraform init again. Okay, so now when I do Terraform init, what it's saying is that so the changes in the backend configuration has been detected. Okay, which may require migrate existing state. Okay, so what is going to be telling is that so this Terraform state file is just expecting some migrate state option to be included. Okay, so now what I have to do is that I have to go back and add this particular option, which is Terraform init migrate state. Okay, so what happening is that so whenever we are giving to this one, it will it will migrate that particular state from remote to the local. Okay, now if we can do Terraform migrate state. Okay, so now as you can see here, the state file has been got created. Okay, so if we can give no to yes. Okay, so as you can see here, that state file has got deleted. Okay, I'll do it once again. Please watch it carefully. So here there is no state file is there. Okay, now as soon as I did the migrate state. Okay, um, I think it's already been without asking me permission, it's already been done. Okay, so now what I do is, if I can just let me just show you, like, because when I did no, I think it's already been created. Now if I can do Terraform init again, what happening is that, so it'll be, let me show it to you again. Okay, so initializing backend, successfully configure the backend. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that, okay, I'm going to do Terraform apply and see top row. Okay, so this is done. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be commenting it out, as you can see here. Okay, so migrate state, Terraform init migrate state. Okay, okay, so it's telling that so no to start with the empty state file. So which I've given no, so that it will be starting with the empty state file, but now I have to give yes. Okay, yes. Now as you can see here, successfully unset to the backend S3. Terraform will now use the from the locally. Okay, now as you can go and see here, Terraform state file, so it will be updated state file which will be downloaded from the S3 bucket. Okay, so this is no more is going to be a remote state file. So now it's going to be, if I can go do Terraform plan, if you can do a Terraform plan, you will not be able to see any new changes, because the state file is being migrated from your remote state to the local state. All right. So now what we're going to do again is that, okay, so now no changes because the state file has been up to date, but it's working from local. Now again, what are we going to do is that, I'm going to be commenting it out. I mean, like, uncomment this one. Okay, now the backend is going to be, okay, remote, the S3 backend. All right, now what I'm going to do, Terraform init. If you can do Terraform init, it's going to be telling that, okay, so it's going to be successfully initialized, but I think I have not saved it properly. Probably, let me just save it once again. Okay, so why it is not detecting anything is that, so it is going to be, because it is the Terraform backend is going to S3, but the S3 state file is already available. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete this particular state file and see. We delete and delete the state file. Okay, so specific object and permanently delete. So now it's going to detect that, there is no state file is available in the remote file. So now if you can go and shut off a minute, what's happened? Okay, okay, now I think it's already been taking the remote state file. Okay, so let me just see what's happening over here. um, Cloud Institute. Okay, let me just go back and delete the S3 backend file. Okay, we can go back and delete this delete this bucket itself. I'm going to delete this bucket, Cloud Institution Terraform state. I'm going to delete this bucket. It has to be, okay. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give Terraform init to Terraform init to migrate state. Okay, so I'm going to give migrate state. So if you click migrate state, so what happening is that, so fail to get the existing workspace S3 bucket is does not exist. Okay, so now what we can do is, so because it's already been trying for the remote state. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the same, the same Terraform, same bucket, create bucket. I'm going to give a create bucket over here. Okay, so now everything else is I'm giving default. I'm just creating bucket. Okay, now whenever I'm doing Terraform init again, okay, Terraform init again, migrate state, it may give me an option. Okay, so now it's been successfully moved from local to the remote. Okay, so to be honest, so what happens is that it won't delete this state file, whatever is over here. Okay, but the state file won't be deleted, but the state file, whatever the content what's there here is got deleted. Okay, it won't delete the state file. Okay, but all the content has been removed from here. Okay, so this is how you will be, okay, migrating from and to, so state file, so remote and local. Okay, so hope you understand this particular video. Okay, if you like this, if you like to see more videos like this, Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you again in the next video with a new content on Terraform. Okay, see you guys.